Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome and I'm happy to have you here on this episode for Monday, May 26th. I'm also super happy to have Daniel Lewis. Daniel, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, Effie, thank you, man. It's incredible where you came from. Over 100 episodes, and you're doing amazing. It's fun to see you, Effie.
Thank you. Thank you. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're in our third year, and it's pretty cool. And speaking of momentous days, Monday, May 26th is a special day for you.
Yeah, my B-day,
Your
birthday, but
birthday.
I'm not counting the numbers anymore.
You're not counting the numbers. I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards.
It does.
Well,
Oh,
I hope you have a great birthday and
thank
that
you,
you enjoy it very, very much. So I want to say thank you. Thank you so, so, so much.
thank
All
you.
right. So one of the things that is particularly special, I mean, I really like Daniel as a person and I've enjoyed working with him. But one thing that's particularly special is that he is a fellow Canuck.
There we go.
There we go.
That's
What's
it.
that cup? Oh, Tim Hortons. Yes.
But wait a second. This is my magic syrup. I keep it with me right beside. I use this for everything.
Yeah.
Cooking or coffee, I was using that maple syrup. This is homemade, actually.
Really?
Yeah, this is. I got one of my friend has a sugar shack. Uh,
Nice.
it's March, April is the worst month for sugar for me.
That's pretty cool that he has is he got a farm also or?
Yeah, he has a big farm. Yeah,
Nice.
all this
Nice.
you can smell
I
it from
remember
far away.
before I came to back to the States, it was over 3 years ago. There was some kind of a robbery where they had stolen drums and drums and drums of maple syrup, and it made
Oh
big
my
news
god!
because of the value of maple syrup.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
I
Yeah.
know.
Today on the market, it's international. It's
Yes, yes, of course. Of
a lot
course.
of
Although I have to
actually.
say, those thieves weren't very smart because if you ask me, okay, let's go steal something. What are we going to steal? Let's get maple syrup. I don't know how easy it would be to market it
It's
without,
golden.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Anyhow. So I want to say thank you as a fellow Canuck. And anyone who is listening to this in the future, if you are a member of Sub 2, if you're a member of Sub 2 and you're a Canuck, reach out to myself, to Daniel, to anyone who is in Sub 2 as a Canuck. We have a Sub 2 Canucks group. And that was started when I was in Vancouver. And as I recall, Daniel, I think you were one of the first members.
Yeah. We had those Zooms, and we were about 12 of us. At that time, that was a couple of years. Yeah.
Do you remember when we had Jamil come and
Oh
talk to
yeah,
us?
yeah. That was.
Jamil Damsey, he was such a sweetheart.
Oh my God.
Um,
He's,
yeah.
he,
So, and now well over 100, maybe even 130. So I'm very, very
growing.
impressed. There's two groups at least,
Yeah.
East Coast and the West Coast, and they get little, you know, um, gatherings and they talk about business. It's kind of cool to say the least.
Yep.
So if you happen to be a Sub 2 um, member and you are a Canuck, let us know and we'll add your name.
For sure.
It isn't open to everyone. Sorry, guys, it's for Sub 2, but that's very helpful. And one of the things that most of the Canucks are in Canada. I happen to be in Chicagoland right now, which I call prison. But anyways, it's cold here, guys. I don't like it. It's colder than Vancouver. Vancouver's mild compared to Chicago, but most of the Canucks are in Canada. So I would like to talk a little bit about what I always do. I want to talk about you and then bring us to the future and talk about cross border business, how you do that. But let's begin. by asking, where were you when you were little?
Well, I'm still at the same place. I'm in Canada. I'm in Ottawa, the nation's capital, on the French side. So I speak French too. People wants to on the Canucks. I know we got a couple of Canucks on the Quebec side. So yeah, I've been a sub two since October 21, I think, something like that. Slowly, my own pace. Yeah, background. I came here. I started in the restaurant business. I mean, you were in the restaurant business, Effie, I think, in the past, or your family.
My dad was at one
Yeah,
point. Yep, like every good Greek guy
yeah,
has to
oh,
own an
Greek, yeah.
Italian pizza place.
So we had an Italian restaurant for about 27 years. I used to,
Yours was Italian too?
yep,
How
Italian
funny
restaurant.
is that?
What a small world.
I mean, everybody chooses Italian.
I think it's the easiest cooking, easiest things to do. I got Italian roots, I got Lebanese roots, and I'm also born
Nice,
in Canada, so in Quebec. So
nice.
yeah, I've been doing this for, I did this for 27 years. We had the beautiful Italian restaurants. Then my mother said, you know what? I've been doing 50 years of business. I want to sell my business. I say, Mom, go ahead, do what you have to do. Let's do it. So we sold it. So I started off working on a W two. I'm still my W two since then, but
Okay.
enjoying the real estate business. I did couple of real estate here business in Canada, and I saw the market was changing, so I said, I needed to expand. I saw this guy, Pace.
Tell me
So
where you saw him.
actually, it's funny. There's a guy that I met. He's from Minnesota online. He says, you know, you want to understand more about the business? I'll tell you more about creative finance. There's a guy named Pace. Look up this guy. So I start looking up, and at that time, Pace had those YouTube videos. I don't know if you saw them. He walks in, start putting his shoes, tie his shoes. I don't know if you remember that.
I
It's like
do.
the, what do you call it? It's not Mr. Dress Up. What do you call that?
Oh, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. I say this guy looks. He's so warmful. He's just funny. This guy. And so yeah, since then I was intrigued with what he was saying. I didn't understand. It was overwhelming in the beginning. Then I came up. I loved what he was teaching, and it was really. He's really real. This guy,
Oh, yes, he's very, very
authentic.
um, he himself is creative. He's very
Yeah.
creative.
Well, you first of all you say, okay, as one of the gurus who we see everywhere, it's the type of guy. So at the end, he's so authentic that you really go in what he tells you. You listen what he tells you, and that's amazing. So
Yeah.
then I
When
joined.
I first met him, I didn't see him as a guru.
No,
I mean, I understood when I saw how many people were following him, but I didn't see him as a guru because he was so um, attainable. Like you could
yeah,
talk to him, you could reach
correct,
him.
correct.
Um, he seemed like a guru is up there, and he was more like we're very down to earth.
Yeah,
And
that's
those were the days he was not still driving his Prius and picking people up
no,
from he lived in Phoenix then, and he was picking up people on the weekend and taking them door knocking. It
yeah,
wasn't quite that early, but because he would tell those stories, but he was not doing that anymore. So it wasn't long thereafter, though. How do you remember how many members there were in Sub Two when you joined?
less than 4,000 at that time, something like
Same
that.
with me.
Yeah, less than 4,000. Yeah, I know. He used to take all day. You used to see him on YouTube or taking those calls. That was so fun. It is
Yeah,
what it
when he used
is.
to do those live Zooms and they'd be on
Oh
for
my
4 to 6 hours, and I'd be like, "Oh my God," you know.
God! I said, let me
It
click
was
to see if
amazing.
he's still on there. I come back, he's still there.
Yep, yep.
Amazing.
So, and there is so much to learn.
Oh my God, sky's the
So, when you first joined Sub Two, you most likely felt like overwhelmed.
yeah, yeah. So in the beginning, It's like, I don't know, Pace said it so many times, that shiny object. We are looking for that. So it took me a while. Honestly, it took me a while to focus on what I wanted. The first year, I lost a lot. I was a bit of everywhere, joining all those type of Zooms. Is long-term rental, short-term rental. All those exits that I wanted. It's hard. It was hard to focus. Plus, I have that W-2, so I had to put a little time, family W-2, like everybody else.
Yep. Yep.
And you had to find the best fit, but you can't just join something and just take a piece of it, and you have to come back and you have to learn again. So that was hard. So I wasted I didn't waste it. I learned the year, but at the end of that year and a half, okay, Daniel, focus,
Well,
get yourself
I think that
focused.
it's impossible to come in, at least for me, it was
Yeah,
impossible to come in and say, that's the thing I want. Because how do you know? You have to find out what you don't want. Like you go and you hear about flipping cars, and I'm like, nah. You go and you hear about multifamily. I'm like, I'm not ready for that. Storage, land, short term, long term, co living, lending, all these different things. And how do you know if you want them or not if you don't give it some of your attention?
correct. Yeah, that's well said, F. Yeah, yeah. It is. It's that time you put and you learn at the end. I said,
What you do
okay.
want. It starts really wide, and then you end up putting on the blinders and you know where you want to go.
Yeah, correct. And then you focus on, okay, what avatar? That base tells you a lot. What avatar you are. Focus on that. With time, I decided not today. I'm focusing mostly on wholesale, and that was the best thing I should have done before. But you learn. So I was doing short-term rental, comping short-term rental, underwriting short-term. I underwrote mostly all the type of deals. So at the end, I say, okay, I got to stay away from. It's a lot of noise in our group. There's a lot of noise. Okay, and you have to know how to focus. So I focus. I went back on wholesaling. I'm staying on there. I'm not being going on these left and right zooms. So I'm focusing on that. I got my expertise on that, and we have to learn with time how to delegate. Give it, give it, and give it. Don't try to do yourself. So with time, what I can say is try to focus on keeping one exit, work on that exit until you get good at it, and delegate. So there's things you learn. But today I'm very happy. We have all these amazing resources.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
When you first decided, okay, I'm going to try wholesaling, did you talk to other wholesalers and work with someone who had already done it, or were you just watching the Zooms and then trying it from the Zooms?
well, you know what? I tried it from the Zooms. Um, Being my W-2 in my full-time job. Now I'm on leave because I had a surgery on my shoulder, so I have to, I'm doing as much as I can, and I stay quiet. But coming back, I focused on wholesaling and saying, okay, I saw a lot of people like Sam. Everybody knows Sam is amazing what he does.
Sing?
Yeah, yeah, so yeah, for sure. And and all the group and all those guys, those those amazing IGs we have in our group. So I focused on that, just stay on that, stick on that wholesaling, and I got a couple of deals under my recently because I stayed only on focusing since October on
Mm.
wholesaling. So I just eliminated every noise around me, and I'm having more success now. I know how to underwrite it, and I know how to get those deals and who to contact. But our community is amazing. It's just one click and you post it, and you got those people JVing. I love JVing with partners, helping each
Nice.
other. That's a lot. And actually, our first deal that I did is in Chicago, and it was in a sub two. It was a sub two family. So I got this realtor. I got a deal. I pitched creative. It was on market, and he said, "Yeah, sure, okay, let's do it." I got on the contract. Not that I know of. He's a Gator. So I took that deal. I posted in sub two. I sold it to a sub two.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, Pace was aware about that. He was so happy. That's we kept it in the family.
Yes.
And that Gator guy, a realtor, he wants to join sub two now. He can't wait. So
Awesome. Well, I
that-
hope he um, joins under your link.
yeah, to get that, yeah, for sure.
Nice, nice. Well, that is really good. And I know what you mean about keeping it in the family.
Yeah,
I just am in the process. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to close on the 27th. That's Tuesday. And if it gets pushed, it will get pushed to the 28th. But in the next couple of days, I'll be closing my very first double close
wow,
as a lender.
wow, that's amazing. In Chicago, or is it?
No, no, but all in the family.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
Jeff Smith, who
Yeah,
was in Houston and has just moved to Phoenix,
yeah,
was the person who had it under contract, and I want to say her name properly, so bear with me. The TC that he is using
Karina,
is also in um, sub two, and I want to say her name is
Karina.
Roshana. Yep,
Oh,
it's Roshana. She's in sub two. The lender, is I'm in sub two. Abraham Gray is also in sub two. He's doing the actual funding. So there's just like it's all, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but it's all sub two, sub two, sub two, and we're all
wow,
helping out the seller and the buyer. The buyer is sub two. So
wow,
I'm
wow.
like,
That's
wow.
amazing. Yeah, keep
Yeah,
it. It was
and
such a
we
big.
will tell Pace about that because it's fun when it's all in the family.
Correct. Yeah, it's a big family. Correct. Yeah.
Yep, for sure, for sure. So, how did you choose Chicago? Did it just fall in your lap?
Honestly, why? I'll tell you why. You have to be. It's all strategy, and a lot of people know about that. In Chicago, some people, I'll say honestly, won't wholesale. They forget of these markets because You're not allowed to wholesale more than one deal. So there's not too many wholesalers, should I say? So I decided to go in that market because I knew people like you, and I knew an attorney, a great attorney there. He's amazing. He's renowned, and he does a lot of sub two students. John Ferrantino. Uh,
John who?
Ferrantino. He's one of the best. Uh,
Okay.
he has one of our student, Mighty Matt. I think we know. He's in
You'll have to make sure you give me his information later.
for sure. Yeah, I'll get you. So yeah, he's one of our best creative attorney in Chicago. So he understands that. So yeah, and I made a team. I got a couple of realtors that I just started to have, and they're sending me deals on and off market. So what Pace says, try to focus on one market, build a team. But that's what I'm doing. That's what we've been taught. So I'm building
Yeah.
my own team, and then moving to another market, building my own team. Eventually, I'll be going back to those VAs. I'm on the market now. I had a little situation last summer with those VAs. I can open it. I was not lucky. We spent a lot of money. We didn't know it was our first time going with VAs, and we had to tweak them every month. No, you guys can't. You can't chase 5,000 population. You have to go to 150,000. No, you have to go on 90 days off market. So we wasted, me and my Canadian partner. We put about 5 months in there. So I pulled the plug. So wait a second. I'm staying away from VAs for now. Let me go on market. I love cold calling. That's what I usually do. I'm gonna cold call whenever I have time. So I went direct on market for now. It's gonna take me where it's gonna take me. That we'll see. But I'm having success on that end.
Good. Wonderful. Yeah, I think that VAs and also software. You need this software, you need that software, you need this CRM. You got to be careful because it can get,
Yeah.
they call it you are being $99 a month to death. It adds up.
Yeah.
So I understand. And VAs, I personally think that VAs are going to be replaced. They're going to be replaced by AI.
Yep. It's gonna go.
And AI will probably do a better job. Meaning you tell it, the parameters and it doesn't go outside. It just does what you want it to, because that is wasted time and wasted money when
Correct.
they're looking for, in the wrong places, or, you know, the wrong size, all that sort of thing. So
Correct.
I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah.
And doing investing virtually is not new. I mean, personally, this double close is in the seller and the buyer are in California.
Hmm.
Jeff was in Houston, moving to Phoenix. I am here. Abraham is in Atlanta. It doesn't really matter where you are. You
No.
can do it virtually once you have, like you said, a team.
Exactly.
So that is not a big difference. I don't think, from what you're doing. But do you know, like, does it feel any different being on the other side of the border, so to speak?
No, I have my own phone number, US number. I use a lot. When you deal with people, it makes it easier.
Hmm.
If I would work in Chicago, building a team, I have. What's important is boots on the ground. That's a big piece, and getting those people on the ground for you. You can reach out to the sub two community and ask them to, somebody wants to go visit a property. So, but doing the rest, I'm very comfortable. It's easy from my end,
Yeah,
and getting that deal. But boots on the ground, we got those people. We got that community. Amazing, amazing.
good, good. Because these days, sometimes they do want a wet signature, at a title company, or at through a lawyer. And in those cases, you can use notaries.
Yeah,
But it's all done through DocuSign.
correct. Yeah, it
So
makes it.
and like you said, if you have a phone and if you have internet, then you can do your research. You can see what's there. You still do need the boots on the ground. I agree with you on that. But it's not as if it's impossible.
Correct.
And I'm doing lending, but I'm also doing co-living. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
my own first property is in Charlotte, and that is up and going. And I've changed my market to Atlanta. So Abraham is in Atlanta, which is very, very helpful. But I have another partner and JV partner, and he has done all his co living in Atlanta, and he lives in California.
Wow,
And he
wow,
just went out to Atlanta for the first time like 4 or 5 years after he started. And he's a Gator.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Effie.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. So at first I was really worried. I was like, oh, you can't do that, but, now I know it works. Once you have
Yeah,
enough people that show you how,
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. The power of the community, the power. You can do anything with a phone, with a
yeah.
laptop.
And
You
as
know.
long as you can travel, that's the other thing that is necessary. When I first started, I was in Vancouver, and it was COVID.
Oh,
That was horrible. I couldn't
yeah.
open up a bank account. I'm a dual citizen and had lived here for in the States for longer than I lived in Canada, but I couldn't cross the border. BC British Columbia was very, very strict with COVID. My kids couldn't come up. I couldn't go down.
Hmm.
Didn't matter whether I wanted to cross the border into Washington or if I wanted to go to California or New York. Didn't matter. Couldn't go.
Gotcha.
So that was pause and hold.
Yeah, you could only call it at that time. It
That's
was hard.
right. So, so that's what I did. I got to know people.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you built your community. That's it starts from there. That's you start from there and you start moving around and get those contacts and people working around you. It's very powerful, honestly. And you keep good relationship. That's important. I think this is crucial. Um, Somebody help you, and I'll get you back. I didn't forget
Yep.
what you did to me.
Yep.
That's what I always. There's a lot of people in the community, like there's people like there's a lot of people that help me. Like tech is amazing. Tech Chang, I can see a lot of people more. Grant and from everywhere, Sam, and all these people.
Yep.
So
I agree.
they help me a lot, and I'm always grateful and hopefully help them back.
Exactly. And it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah,
Because we're going back now almost 3 years. And, by the amount of time that we've had talking on the phone and also texting and in Facebook and things like that, I get a sense of who you are. And doing Zooms, I used to do a lot of Zooms. Now I'm using Riverside, but okay.
yeah.
It's a similar type of thing. You get to know people. There's nothing better than breaking bread or sharing maple syrup.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But, we don't always get a chance to do that. Have you had the opportunity to meet any of the people in person?
Honestly, not. I know I went to the first meetup, Squat Up. Yeah, for sure. That was March of last year, not this March. The first one. Yeah, I met a lot of. That was so powerful. That was amazing that time. I met all these people. Yeah, for sure. That was everybody at the same time at that place. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I got a. mm, I kept in contact with a lot of people.
Good.
Chino and all that group, his Vegas group. I was with them all the time, so I had
Nice.
fun with this group, and yeah, it was amazing.
Good. Good. I'd like you to talk to us a little bit about when you first identify a property. Um, like what are you looking for? How long does it have to be on the market? Because you deal with on market properties, right?
Correct.
And talk us through the process. What do you do? Like, how do you decide if you're going to reach out to a property? And then, of course, underwriting it, we can just take that as we know you have to do that. But once you've set your price, how do you reach out? Talk about the process.
So yeah, for sure. Like like everybody else, we need to look at those. What I do is I look at over 75 days on market.
Okay.
Then connect with the realtor, talk to them through the process. You got 3 or 4 ways of getting this deal. So what I usually do is I look at the price and I tell him or her, and I don't think if I get a loan on this property, I'm not gonna cash flow. Do you have a solution for me? Look based on the rents, and you guys are asking 400, 500K. It's gonna cost me 4,000 bucks a month renting on mortgage. So I don't know how if you guys are renting is 2,500. Do you have a solution for me? Unless you guys have a lender at 5%, I'll take your lender. You have one? So I always ask them to get a solution for me. Or, I see that person does not have a mortgage. Is he open to me taking over that debt? Doing something with that. I just have to, as an investor, I tell them, we just have to think out of the box here. We can't just, it's hard for an investor. If I was living in that place, in that area, it would have been easier for me, just to live there, having paid a mortgage. But as an investor, I have to factor in property management, vacancy, and war chest. So that's 20%, 25% on top. I can't cash flow. So you have a solution for me? I'm interested in your property. I don't know, I would take it. My team would take that property, So they say, no, I don't know. So I don't see any other solution than to be more creative, thinking out of the box. Seller finance, would they be open to any owner finance or creative or subject to? I'll have to ask my seller. Sure, if you have, and ask your seller, does he have another solution? I'll take it. Just let me know how you're gonna. We want this house. We want this property. So that starts off like this, and
Excuse
bless you.
me.
And you let the realtor think, and you always have to ask him. He'll come back with some answers.
So
So
then
that
the realtor will approach the seller and tell him, look, we've got an interested party,
yeah,
but it's not someone who's going to live in here. So it needs to work. And,
correct,
he's asking for solutions.
correct. And you see that property is on market for a while. I'm looking here. You guys had multiple offers, and what I see, it fell through. So it's been. Why aren't we finding a solution for your seller? You know what I mean? Is there something wrong? What's going on? I know the market is not helping nobody with those high interest rates. Until we get at the 5-4%.
Mhm.
Maybe at that time when you get at 4%, I could go conventional. But for now, I'm having a hard time. Help me. So you put him in that position. You know,
Nice.
on I would say on 10 realtors, 102 would work on that end. That send it offers.
Isn't
Then
it a shame that they wouldn't all?
say what?
It's a kind of a shame
Yeah.
that all 10 realtors wouldn't be working on it.
You choose your battles, Effie. You know how it is. So in that world, so I I click, I connected with those. I can count them on my hand. Those realtors that are open to creative, and they are bringing me deals today. It took me a while to build that. It took me a while. It took me 5, 6 months to build that, but I built a great relationship and focus on one market, like Paige said. Just focus, build the team on one market, and once you got there, so yeah, just build a relationship, and they'll come back to you.
Nice, nice. Do you ever go direct to owner?
I used to do with the VAs. I got
Oh, I
discouraged.
see.
I got discouraged. The reason why is, okay, I have a W-2. I have a family. I need to work in a fast pace. So how can I get deals faster than calling? And the ratio is about 13 to 14 times before getting a deal on the contract. If you don't have a team, that's different. I was a solo guy. I didn't have a team. I just have one VA and a disposition acquisition team. So it was a little challenging. I didn't have time to call back. I had those numbers, call them once or not warmly, not even. So I got discouraged. So that's why I left it for a while. It's not. I'm not going to go back, but I'll go back differently. I'll be positioning myself differently today with those VAs.
Got it.
But
Got it. Very interesting. So
yeah,
then when you get something under contract, how do you dispo it?
well, our family.
Well, I'm looking for one, right?
Yeah, I'm
But that's
working. I
beside
didn't
the point.
forget you. I got you. I got your criteria. I got your buy
Yep.
box here. I
Yep.
got it right here.
Yep. So
Yeah,
you do it all through connections.
yeah. I got my buyers, couple of buyers, but our Facebook group. You can't ask for better. Honestly, in our community, it's amazing.
I
I
know.
just
I know.
posted
We're very, very lucky to have each other.
the deal I did in Chicago. 3 hours I sold it. Rukia, her name is Rukia.
Nice.
She's in Chicago. Yeah, well, it was amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, what advice would you have for other, let's say, other Canucks, people who are living in Canada and are thinking, oh, I would like to learn about real estate in the States and how I can do it? What advice would you give them?
Well, focus on one market. If you want to wholesale, I would say start by wholesale. And I should have done that in the beginning. I was going on different. Start by wholesale. Why? Because get that cash flow and then move to the other steps. Um, yeah, focus on wholesaling. Focus on one market. Build your team on that market. It's the same thing what Pace tells us. Build that team and build rapport, and that's crucial. That's crucial.
So, how do you recommend that yes, the rapport is very important. How do you recommend they choose their market?
Well, they say it's the blue states and red states. It is what it is. The choose on. There's a lot of tools out there that says there's a Chat GPT. What's the best market to wholesale? Easy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go on there. I used to go on there. and choose one or two markets and start building from there. Do calls. If you want to wholesale, it takes somebody
Yep.
to call. Or best thing, JV somebody. We always say that JV with somebody, and that's how you will learn first and among everything.
Now,
Uh,
I think we would both agree that if someone, would you recommend a Canadian to join Sub 2?
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
Sub2 is like the most powerful community.
Yeah, it is very powerful, but I joined it. I joined it as a Canadian, but I also joined it as an American because I knew that as soon as COVID was over, I was going to be moving back. Because I've spent more time here in the States than I have in Canada, although my formative years were there. Um, so it's interesting because sometimes people reach out to me and they say, "Hey, I'm a Canadian and I want to know how to do real estate from Canada," and I'm like, contact one of my Canucks group people because
For
they're
sure.
doing it. I'm not doing it. So all the little innuendos of how to set it up and how to watch out you don't get taxed doubly and things like that. You gotta know what you're doing. And
Yeah,
I don't know those things because I'm not in Canada and I don't have to worry about it. If you're an American, you have to pay taxes if you're living in Canada, which I did when I lived in Canada, but I didn't do real estate in Canada at that time. Um, as an American here, I don't need to file taxes in Canada and pay Canadian taxes. Only
correct.
a few countries do that, and America is one of them.
Hmm.
Where it doesn't matter where you live, you're going to pay American taxes, which is why some very rich Americans will give up their citizenship so that they can go to another country that doesn't tax them twice.
Yeah,
Because like if your wife is British and you're living in Britain, you're going to continue paying taxes till you die.
correct.
And if they're making a lot of money, you know how it is. They want to not pay taxes and all that sort of thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a way of structuring the corporate um, structure for Canada and US, so you don't be double taxes. It's there's a way you can check with a CPA cross border.
hmm
I'm not the expert on that end, but I know you would put a C corp and under a holding. So what
okay.
happens is that
So a cross-border accountant would be a good place to start, or yeah, tax
exactly.
accountant,
Yeah,
tax.
exactly. Yeah, there's a couple of them in our sub two community. So like Canucks, we can help whoever wants. Just reach out.
Okay,
And there's a couple of them. Yeah, they're good. They're very good at that.
okay. And now that we've got to how to focus on a market and that you can do it cross-border, how would you go about building a team? You said to JV. Well, obviously, building rapport is important, and joining sub two is a good thing.
Yeah,
Uh, if they're not in sub two, we're just going to tell them join sub two. Period. Because then you can have a pick. You can pick and choose of a lot of people to JV with.
yeah,
I know that Pace has that free group that's over 100,000. I don't know, maybe 150,000 people. But um, I have no clue who's good and who isn't in there.
yeah. You know what? It happened a couple of times. As a lot of sub two students, we help non sub twos, and I felt it when there's another group called Richard Taylor's group, and he does wholesale, and I knew somebody was in there. I don't want to push that our sub two. It has to come naturally from their end. I told him I was in sub two, and I helped that person a lot. So I helped her, and she saw the value that we gave, that what we learned, what we're giving her. It's gonna come from her someday. Somehow she'll join. We know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but it came from her. But she saw the value that I gave her, that I helped her on that end, and all the resources we had, and I connected her. And that was fun for me because I saw the values from what I learned, and I'm giving that to that person.
I
Uh,
agree.
so
I
I'm not
agree.
want to
But
do that, but
really, the shortcut is to join.
for sure, and I'm
Yeah.
not worried that person will join. She says once I get, yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's interesting. So, Daniel, um, if someone wishes to reach out to you to, possibly work with you or bring you a deal or, you know, ask about getting maple syrup or whatever,
Right here.
where can they, yes, exactly. Where can they reach you?
They could reach me on my phone number. I can give it away. 216
216
yeah 999
999.
5324. That's the easiest way to reach me.
All right. One more time, 216 999 5324.
Correct.
Awesome. Very, very nice. I want to say thank you. And I would like, if you will permit, to invite you to come back.
Uh,
And I'm
that's
going to say, I'm in my third year now. Maybe as we go into the fourth year, I'd love to have you come back and tell us, where you're at then and how
beautiful.
things are going at that point.
Will be happy to come back, and I really appreciate you inviting me as a partner, as in Canada, in the U.S.
You're
Thank you
welcome. I
very
love
much.
all my sub two people, but I can't help but love, the Canucks group even more.
Yeah, for sure. We
Yeah,
have to.
we've done pretty good.
Yeah, we're growing so fast, and the people that are responsible of our communities are doing a great. I think Matt and I don't know the other girl from the West. I'm seeing a
Yep.
lot of posts and helping each other. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
It's
so
going
funny
so
when they
fast.
first started saying, "Okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Hey guys, just a minute. We have some rules." And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't tell you. Pace wanted us to be in charge of, the West and the East." I'm like, "Go for it," because
amazing.
it took quite a bit to build it to that, and I'm happy. But I just
Uh,
didn't understand that's where they were coming from. I thought,
no,
"What
exactly.
are we doing here?"
And they're having those meetings. That's amazing. Toronto and Vancouver. I'll join one of the meetings somehow someday. Maybe next fall. I'm looking
Nice.
forward.
Well, maybe one day I'll get up there too.
Yeah. Would this bring you up here?
Probably it would.
I'll bring you. I'll
Anyways,
come down.
okay. Well, I'd like to say thank you very, very much. And to our guests, I hope that you have learned a few things about, how a journey can go from the beginning to being active, even though, you might be doing it still part time. It's an important thing. And if you're a Canuck, definitely. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone. And Daniel, remember not to close your browser.
Got you. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I'm going to say thank you, everyone, and we shall see you next time.
Thank
Peace.
you.
Take care.